Welcome, everybody, to the Loonacy Podcast, brought to you by Roughneck Scarves. My name is Tony. I'm here with Dave and David. Dave Stevens, David Sterling. I am Tony Pervenanzi. We are coming to you today from Omni Brewing Company in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. Guys, this is our, what? Well, it's our third time here. It's Dave's second time.
Second podcast. Yeah.
So, if you guys don't know, listen, our first recorded podcast or a brewery was here at Omni. Started kind of the whole shebang for us, I guess.
It did.
Calling breweries and saying, hey, can we come out? And they've been great. Once again, Omni was like, yeah, come on out. Have some fun. Do a podcast.
Yeah, and then the first one that I was a part of was actually, it's kind of fitting that we're here at this time of the year, just after the season ended, because our the second podcast we did here last year in, was it November?
It was the last game.
It was
decision day. We were sitting, at one of these tables watching the Loons play. Wasn't it in Columbus? I think. Yeah. Started out okay.
It was delayed.
Oh, that's right.
And we had to start the podcast before the game ended.
Ideally, we were hoping to do it after. But anyways, here we are.
But here we are. You guys got some flights here. I got the Oktoberfest because it's October and what the hell, right? Mm-hmm. You guys got some flights. What did you guys get?
Well, I did indeed get a flight. I've only just had a few sips of the first one, which was the Melt, and it's their raspberry passion fruit smoothie sour.
Ooh.
And I like it. And as far as sours go, it's good. It's got that sour twang to it without, but it's not too bitter.
Yeah.
And actually, this is interesting because it says it's their first sour of 2019. It's their first smoothie sour, and it's the first time they've brewed with passion fruit. So
wow,
it's interesting. Cool. It's kind of low. IBUs are low, like I said, so it's not too bitter, but it still has got that nice sour taste to it. So.
It looks like fruit punch.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't taste like fruit punch. I mean, Five Alive, does that ring a bell to anybody?
Five Alive?
Does that ring a bell to you? I'm trying to think.
What was that?
It was kind of it was back in the day, the old school, like you'd take frozen concentrate and mix it up.
Oh, no.
I have no idea.
No, I don't know.
But no, it doesn't quite taste like fruit punch. But I like the fact that it's sour without being bitter. So.
David, what did you try first?
So I went with the Birdie Putt first. It's a Minnesota IPA. It's good.
They actually, first time they had it out was when Dave, what golf outing was that? Was that the 3M championship?
It was the inaugural 3M Open up in Blaine.
And they made it for that. And I guess it's now available at that golf course year-round, I guess. They're saying they're making it for that golf course. So
yeah, I mean, it's an IPA, but to me, it's kind of more of a pale ale.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as hoppy as most IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember trying it at I was at the third round of the 3M Open, and I tried it up there at their. They had a big kind of craft brewery tent, and I tried it there. And I just remember it was fairly hot that day, and it was kind of refreshing.
We want to say congratulations to somebody. David, you want to do the honors?
Yeah, Jeff Reuter was married this weekend to Kate. I feel really bad because I forgot. I'm pretty sure it's Kate. So if Jeff does listen to us, which I have no idea if he actually does.
I'm sure he does.
He's kind of suggested maybe he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, when we ran into Jeff out in Madison, you and I, David.
He at least knew of us.
She was there with them. I mean,
she was. Yeah. So, congratulations to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Many years of fantastic marital bliss.
Yes. Congratulations, Jeff. So we only have 2 games to talk about here, guys, and we're going to do them quickly because, they were the last 2 games of the season. One of them was over 2 weeks ago, the game that we were at.
Well, yeah, it was a good 16 days ago, the 29th of September.
And really, I mean, there's not much to say about those 2 games other than they kind of set us up for where we're going to be and where we are in the playoffs. But we were at the game, LAFC game, a couple weekends ago, Sunday. The only thing I remember from that game is they gave us a nice beanie cap.
Yep, and Target had free scarves.
Which I gave to my daughter.
And, of course, that was because it was Fan Appreciation Night being the last home game of the regular season, that is.
And I will say this, the turf looked like shit.
Yes.
I mean, so before the game started, Chris Wright came out and said they were replacing the turf because they had drainage issues underneath.
Yep.
So the grass was terrible at the end of the season.
Yep.
After the game was over, they tore that thing up and they replaced it because they've got a football game it's coming up Saturday.
Correct.
And of course we have the playoff game coming up.
Right. Yeah.
So they had to replace it, which was good because it looked horrible.
Yeah, and I hate to be the person that's in charge of whatever company's product liability insurance.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a hefty bill.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Because I'm sure they're going to end up paying for, obviously, the repair, the removal, the replacement.
Yep.
It's going to be a mess. That's going to be expensive.
Well, they hadn't released it was a faulty drainage system. Essentially, is what I found. They never really got into details as far as why. It was
my guess is that we had so much rain this year. I don't know if that system was capable of handling the amount of rain we had.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know if they ever kind of figured that into their equation about how much rain we could potentially get around here.
And if I'm correct, Target Field has a similar drainage system,
right?
And
they take that drainage water and they
back in the stadium
it and use it.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was the same company.
I believe it was. Yeah.
That would be bad news because
it would be. Yeah.
They should know better.
Well, maybe they don't know how to do soccer stadiums.
Yeah. What? Maybe.
Maybe it was the first one. We'll try this out.
Yeah.
So the LAFC game, guys, ends up in a 1-1 tie. The biggest things I can think of from that game was Vela getting his record tying goal,
which was a beauty.
Yeah,
really was.
It was. Other than that, I guess I went into this game thinking that a tie would be okay with me because it is LAFC.
Well, yeah, that and remember, as you looked at LAFC's lineup, it was their A squad.
It was their A squad.
They played for it.
Going into it, you could kind of question, what did they have to play for? Because number one, at that point, over 2 weeks ago, with 2 games or more remaining in the regular season, they had already clinched the Supporters' Shield.
They were good to go.
They, of course, then already had clinched the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, so they really didn't have anything to play for.
They were going for the record.
Yeah.
That's what they were going for.
Yeah.
And they certainly were because everybody was there, including Vela, and it was a strong lineup. So.
And,
I think it was a good show for playoff teams.
Yeah.
That are going to face us.
Yeah.
They've proven twice now, the Loons have, that they can shut down LAFC.
They can.
And that's good because if we'll talk about it later, but if the Loons do, in fact, win this coming Sunday at Allianz in their first, their opening round matchup against LA Galaxy, they will be going back on the road to LAFC.
So we tie up the score.
It was
late in the game.
Yeah, it was just 5 minutes later after Vela's was in the 70th minute, and then Boxall had a kind of I guess you'd call it a glancing header off a long set piece from Jan Gregus. So just 5 minutes later.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was it's a good game. Tied 1-1. Didn't affect our standings.
No, we went in second, left second.
Yeah, I think a couple things. If we're just doing like the 30,000 feet kind of perspective, I looked at Angelo Rodriguez came in the 45th minute at sub. Was for Troy, but he looked good. He had some opportunities. Yes, he didn't convert them, but he definitely had some good looks. I thought him and Darwin kind of showed their old form a little bit. Darwin had, almost had a near goal headed from a Angelo Rodriguez pass through the box. So I think there was some reasons to be optimistic. And like Tony said, it was entertaining. I know Brian Rodriguez for LAFC. He had 2 off the woodwork. I think one was off the post and one was off the crossbar. Yeah. So it was entertaining. Minone showed up again like usual. He had a terrific game.
Yeah.
So, entertaining.
So we come out of this game with we're still in second place, right?
Yeah.
But so we go into the Seattle game, and pretty much the second place is still in our hands at this point.
Yeah, all we need to do is draw.
Yeah,
right.
That's all we need to do. So we're going, it's still in our hands.
Yeah.
But decision day, and
was marred by bad decisions.
Which David is going to talk about because we started this game out in what formation, David?
The bad one, 4-3-3. And the reality is, we had success of the 4-3-3 once this season.
Oh.
And that was actually an adjustment in the second half.
Oh.
Against, for God's sake, now I don't even remember who it was. We were losing. We made the adjustment and we tied. Was that Portland? It might have been.
Yeah.
And in any case, I think it was Portland. We made the adjustment when it took over the game and we got our tying goal.
Yeah.
And it saved us.
Yeah.
But when we actually started the game with a 4-3-3, it has never been successful at any time this season. In fact, I don't even know in 18 or 17 was it ever successful.
No, never has been.
And it was just a bizarre decision.
And looking back, I can't rattle off the games. I mean, we're talking about a handful of games where they attempted to start with a 4-3-3.
For sure.
It wasn't the majority. And the interesting thing about it, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in those cases, a lot of that had to do with injuries, maybe international call-ups, situations where they had to make a formational change because of the personnel.
That's exactly correct.
But I don't think you could say that.
We had nothing. We had no reason whatsoever to go into a 4-3-3 against Seattle. None.
Wow.
And what was even worse about it was that we started Ethan Finley, who has been terrible when he's played in a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So it was really mind-boggling. It was one of those decisions where I was sitting there, I'm like, well, this is practically reason enough to not even consider Heath for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Because this type of decision is just mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense.
And for as long as we're speaking about the 4-3-3 formation, and the lineup itself is, what was there prior to, decision day in Seattle? Robin Lod was in the lineup for the last, 4 games prior, or at least 3 prior.
I think it was probably 4, yeah.
And so, say what you will about his performance in said games, but he wasn't in the starting 11. And I only make that note is because it's kind of a significant change,
Yeah, it is. Now, mind you, in theory, I wouldn't want Lod in a 4-3-3.
No.
He's not a direct player. He's a little bit more I have to bite my tongue when I say this, but he's a little bit more creative, I guess. And he's just not really that type. He definitely isn't fast.
Yeah.
So he's not that type of guy that you want on the edge coming on 4-3-3. So that made sense. But at the same time, Dave, as you pointed out, he'd been in the lineup starting for 3-4 games. So why in the world would you pull him at this point?
Yeah, there's no reason.
It's just a weird thing that Heath has always had an issue with consistent lineups, consistent formations.
And changing things up
very weird
on the fly. I mean, why go into this game with a 4-3-3?
And especially when
it means something.
Yeah, it means something. And honestly, I said weeks ago, I guess episodes ago, that when we got to the playoffs, I wasn't really concerned. If we got to the playoffs, I wasn't really concerned about anyone. The only team that I was worried about was LAFC.
Yeah.
And even at that point, we had beaten them. Mm-hmm. So to go into Seattle and think you have to all of a sudden alter everything, it just didn't make sense to me because I don't think we should be that scared of Seattle.
Yeah.
I think that obviously we were 2-3. I think we're basically level with them.
Yeah.
Even if we're on the road, I don't think it's any different.
Yeah.
So the decision was weird, and the game showed it. We never really looked good. We were bogged down in the midfield a lot. It just wasn't. It was flat.
I mean, I know you made the comment several times during the game that the midfield